All right, so are you ready to dive into this uh, fascinating world of beauty standards? It's something that I think we all struggle with, like what really is beauty? And today, we're going to be tackling this age-old debate, natural beauty versus cosmetic enhancements. Trust me, this is a juicy one, our source. It all started from this super fiery Reddit thread on AskMenAdvice. Someone posted this seemingly simple question. Is it true that most mature men like natural women?
And I think what's so interesting about this thread in particular is the context surrounding it. So the original poster, she's a 26-year-old woman. She works in a corporate environment, and she started noticing this trend among her peers. There's all these cosmetic enhancements, right? Leading to, I guess, what she would call the corporate plastic look. So her question really kind of sparked this entire debate about, do men like actually find this, hyper enhanced look appealing, or do they genuinely prefer natural beauty, which is a really, really good question.
And the responses. Oh my gosh, it's like we open Pandora's box. You have opinions flying from every direction. Some were absolutely hilarious. Some were super thought-provoking. And then some were like, wait, hold on. You said what? Like totally contradicting everything else. And right off the bat, you see men like jumping in. I'm immature, but I prefer natural women.
Right.
So now you're making me question, like, what is maturity?
Yeah. Does that I mean, are you mature if you acknowledge your immaturity? Like it's a whole,
It's a whole thing.
yeah, it's a rabbit hole.
And, speaking of rabbit holes, this thread goes off on some pretty hilarious tangents. Like one guy, he confessed to like his late night cravings for microwave hot dogs,
Oh my God.
which like, on a discussion of beauty standards,
Y-
but it just goes to show you everyone, no matter what we're discussing, everyone has their little quirks.
Right.
But let's get back to like the real question here. What do men really think? Enhancements versus natural beauty. One comment stood out to me. The illusion of natural beauty.
Oh, yes. And I think this is where the conversation gets really, really interesting. So this commenter was basically saying, you know what? Maybe men aren't necessarily drawn to a complete lack of enhancements. Maybe it's more about like a curated look that mimics natural beauty. So like the no makeup look.
Yeah, like kind of elevating what's already there,
Yeah.
but making it seem effortless.
Exactly. And they were
Mhm.
using this like really smart analogy of like, think about bodybuilders. Like there is a point where muscularity is attractive, but when you get too muscular, it starts to be like a little off-putting for a lot of
Yeah,
people.
too much of a good thing.
Too much. And it's the same with like cosmetic enhancements. It's like finding that sweet spot where it complements your features instead of overpowering your natural, beauty.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great analogy because it really highlights that it's not black and white, like natural versus enhanced. There's this whole spectrum and like degrees.
100%. And this commenter, to really drive the point home, brought up this anecdote about this girl on TikTok. She had gotten a bunch of work done, but everyone was complimenting her on her natural beauty. So it's like, when done well, it's super effective, that illusion of natural beauty.
So then does that mean are we programmed in a way to be attracted to certain features? Like even if we think we prefer that natural look, we're drawn to something that's been enhanced maybe without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And that brings us to this other side of the conversation because some women on this Reddit thread had the opposite experience. They got negative feedback for going makeup free.
Yeah, and I feel like, that really speaks to the societal pressure on women and the double standard that exists. Like a lot of women in the thread were sharing stories of being told they look sick or tired if they weren't wearing makeup, even
Mm.
in super casual settings. Like,
Yeah, one woman said her friend was told by a guy, oh, just because you have a boyfriend now doesn't mean you can let yourself go, just because she wasn't wearing makeup that day.
it's like there's this expectation that you have to constantly present this like done up image no matter what you're doing.
Right. And it's like, wait, hold on. I thought men liked natural beauty. Why am I getting this reaction?
Yeah, like what's going on?
What's the deal?
Maybe. It's not even so much about the lack of makeup, but it's more about the contrast of what they're used to seeing. And then they see a bare face, and maybe it challenges what they think is considered attractive.
I see. So they're so used to the made-up version.
Yeah.
And this made me think about another point that was in the thread, which was this whole concept of the swan effect, right? Where it's like effortless grace and beauty is admired, but the minute you see the work that goes into it, it kind of takes away from it.
Ooh, that's a good connection.
So like hours of makeup, it's like, oh, it's not as appealing anymore.
Yeah, you want to believe it's effortless, and it just comes naturally to this person.
It's like that mystery, like what you see is what you get kind of thing. Even though we know that a lot of times that's not the case.
Yeah, totally. And that illusion can be so powerful. It affects not just how other people see you, but also how you see yourself.
It really makes you think, huh, like, do we really value natural beauty? Or are we just drawn to certain features? Like, have we been conditioned to think a certain way? And then what about all these celebrities that have clearly had work done
Mm.
and people are still attracted to them? Does that go against, this whole idea of men preferring a natural look?
Yeah, and that's something that the thread gets into as well. And actually, a lot of men admitted that they don't always recognize when subtle enhancements have been done, especially nowadays with all the advancements in these procedures. It's gotten so good that sometimes it's hard to tell what's natural and what's not.
So is it like they're not even trying to be hypocritical? It's just they genuinely don't know.
Maybe. And it just goes to show that, like, everyone's perception and what they find attractive, it's all different. Like, what one person considers too much, another person might think it looks great.
Right. It's totally subjective.
Totally. And, there was that comment about, like, BBLs looking like two football helmets. Okay, so that's obviously an extreme example, but it just shows you how different people can be like, whoa, that's too much.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. That was a good one. Beauty really is in the eye of the beholder.
It really is. And like at the end of the day, attraction is so complex. It's more than just looks, right? It's personality, it's your values. So many things are at play.
For sure. And, something that was interesting is that a lot of the men in the thread, they said they prefer natural beauty, but they also recognize that there's this huge pressure on women to look a certain way.
Oh, absolutely.
So it creates this cycle.
Yeah.
Women feel like they have to enhance their appearance, even if it goes against what men say they want.
It's like that whole arms race thing, this insecurity and competition, especially among women themselves.
Yeah, and that was something that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
Like, maybe men aren't the ones driving this whole arms race. Maybe it's more about women, like, wanting to keep up with each other.
Exactly. Like, it's possible they're not even doing it to attract men, but more so to, like, fit in with other women or even, like, outdo them.
And that brings us to this other perspective in the thread that I thought was super interesting. One commenter, and I actually really liked what he said. He's like, you know what? Maybe women are more worried about impressing each other than they are about men.
Oh, interesting.
And he was encouraging women to be like, go after the guy you're interested in. Like, stop trying to live up to these standards that society puts on you.
Yeah, find someone who appreciates you for you.
Exactly. Like true confidence, it comes from within. Be yourself. That's what's attractive.
I love that.
It's like this whole conversation has gone way deeper. Like, we're not just talking about what people find attractive, but like, why do we even have these beauty standards in the first place?
Yeah.
And how they mess with our heads.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's what makes this Reddit thread so interesting. It's not just like random opinions. It shows us how like society's expectations, our own preferences, and even our insecurities, they all kind of mix together to like shape how we see beauty and attraction.
And it's like there's no right answer to this whole debate.
Yeah.
What matters is that we're making choices about our bodies and how we look because we want to, not because we feel like we have to.
Right, exactly. Like whether you choose to like embrace natural beauty, get enhancements, or even something in between, the important thing is that you're doing it for yourself.
That's about self-love, right?
Self-love and acceptance, yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, confidence is what's truly attractive.
Hmm.
When you feel good about yourself, it shows, no matter what.
Totally agree. And I hope this whole deep dive into this Reddit thread gave everyone listening something to think about. Beauty is complicated. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, and for those of you who want to keep exploring this whole world of relationships, societal expectations, all that good stuff, we've got you covered.
Make sure you subscribe to Voices of the Soul. We have new episodes every week, and we tackle all sorts of interesting topics, just like this one.
And if you're more of a visual person, head on over to the Shauna Palaj YouTube channel. She's got tons of great videos all about the same kind of stuff, guaranteed to get you thinking and spark some really good conversations.
So until next time, stay curious, keep an open mind, and most importantly, love yourself.